It's all fine and good to worry about Western alienation breaking up the country, but there's a really simple way of determining if this is a real threat that's getting the condemnation it deserves, or whether that attention lends legitimacy to an idea that's not only fringe, but just plain silly. Just ask yourself, who's going to put in the work? Maybe you're thinking W. Brett Wilson is the right man for the job. The former Dragon's Den panelist likes to suggest on Twitter that hanging protesters is the best way to get pipelines built. And last week, the businessman said that while he's not a separatist, he's getting tired of being pushed, and some days independence does feel better. Sure, but feelings aren't policy, and I don't think Wilson or anyone else flirting with these ideas has really given it a whole ton of thought. Going from the West wants in to the West wants out takes a lot of work, and not fun work like complaining online, but hard work like convincing millions of people, including grassroots secessionists and politicians, that it's a good idea. Not only is this unlikely in a practical sense, it's also unlikely because Alberta fills few, if any, of the conditions you'd normally find in a secessionist movement. Jason Kenney won't be Alberta's Jacques Parizeau. He's disavowed separatism. It's not Premier Rachel Notley either. But a serious person in politics who thinks this is a serious idea is a requisite step towards separation. All the rage is just howling into the void until that person emerges and descends to the leadership of either the United Conservatives or the New Democrats, or somehow creates a successful nationalist party. Not everyone agrees with the great man theory. John McGarry, the Canada Research Chair in Nationalism and Democracy at Queen's University, argues that someone will emerge to lead the movement if secession gains enough acceptance among Albertans. It's not top-down, he says. These leaders are products of mass-based sentiment. Still, that person emerging, or evolving, as politicians sometimes do, is necessary because seceding requires a referendum. And a referendum requires a government that wants to hold it, which requires legislators who were elected by separatist voters. McGarry thinks that's highly unlikely. Why? Because Alberta isn't homogenous. There's no consistent linguistic, ethnic, or national cleavage that makes Alberta different from the rest of Canada, or that binds together Albertans strongly enough to spur them on to vote to leave. Alberta has long-standing economic grievances, but that's not enough. And besides, Alberta's economic grievances aren't solved especially easily by leaving Canada. Instead, National Post columnist John Ivison reports that a group of senior business people are forming the Buffalo Project to agitate for Western interests without breaking up the country. One of its members said it will stand up for the West within a united Canada. The ghosts of Parizeau, René Lévesque, and Lucien Bouchard may yet haunt the Alberta legislature, but there's no indication that this is an existential threat that's coming anytime soon. By all means, condemn away, but frustration with the rest of Confederation shouldn't be mistaken for separatism, and that, in turn, shouldn't be feared any more than it deserves. And it doesn't deserve much.